What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another video. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. We're still doing 3 videos a week right now, so we don't want you to miss out on any of those future videos. So make sure you're subscribed, got the notifications on, and all that good stuff. So we're bringing you guys another pond update video. As you can see, or maybe as you can see behind me, we're down here at the pond, and things look a little different than the last time we gave you guys an update. It's been a little while. There's been a lot of things going down here at the pond, so we're going to kind of walk you guys through the whole process and give you guys a little update on our little pond project. Okay, so we are here in early November. I mean, it's first week in November here. It's really one of the last warm days. I mean, you see I'm out in a t-shirt, I'm in shorts. It's a beautiful day right now. It's a little windy. There's actually a front blowing through as we speak, and it's finally gonna get pretty cold for the next little while. So this may be the last nice day of the year. So I wanted to bring you guys a little pond update and kind of walk you guys through what's been going on here. So, you know, I had to actually look back and see the last video that we did on the pond, and it's been a little while, you know. So if you guys are brand new to this series, go back and check out some of the other videos. You can actually see right where I'm standing here was just a field literally less than a year ago. You know, this was built in February, it's now November, and it's pretty cool to see the process, the cycle, and how everything is evolving day to day. So as you can see here, the water is a little bit low. So we've had an extremely dry summer into fall. You know, just recently we had a couple little bit of rains that kind of helped stabilize the water level. It's kind of been stable around this level here for the last couple months. And I would estimate it's about maybe 2 feet low, but it has just lost a lot of water throughout the summer. You know, it has not rained here a substantial amount in really quite a long time. So it's just constantly been losing water with evaporation, I assume. Like I said, this is a brand new pond, so this is really my first you know, cycle through the seasons to really see how the water fluctuates and that sort of thing. You know, like I said, it's kind of stable, so I don't feel like, you know, as it's kind of cooled off into the fall, it really hasn't lost any more water. So I feel like it's pretty stable and there's not a leak, but you never really know in ponds. You know, that's just something that we're gonna keep an eye on as things go, but it's been pretty stable around this level right here as the fall has progressed. It hasn't been nearly as hot as the summer, so it's not really evaporating as much water anymore. But that's the main thing this fall. It's been extremely low, but it's really kind of been a good thing for me. You know, since this was such a brand new pond, there was some things kind of around the edges that honestly I didn't have the time to fix up, neaten up, tidy up, put out some structure, things like that before the pond filled up. We dug the hole and it rained, you know, a couple weeks later and it was full, and there really wasn't any time to do any of that. So this has kind of given me some time to just tinker around with some things. You know, I put out some more structure. I put a little gravel bed over there. Maybe you guys can see it from here, but a little gravel bed that, you know, that'll be all spawning habitat for the bass and the bluegill. And just kind of cleaned up the edges a little bit, cleaned up all the sticks and stuff that have kind of piled in there, and really just, you know, tidy things up. You know, it gave me time to mow all the grass around it and do all that sort of stuff. But other than that, you know, that's really the main update. I got to clean up the boat ramp a little bit and tidy up that whole section of the pond. So I really like how it looks right now. You know, the water level is fairly stable. The water clarity is fairly stable. Now that may change if we get a big rain or something here and rush a bunch of muddy water into it, but it's fairly stable here for the last month or so, maybe longer. It's just a nice pond greenish color. So I feel good about the health of the water. Everything seems to be doing well. One thing with the low water is I actually had to move my feeder. So I used to have my feeder over there on that side, but the way the contours of the pond, that's kind of a shallow flat over there, and a lot of the food wasn't making it out to where the fish were, or they would have to swim into shallow water. So I actually moved the feeder over here to this side. It's a little bit deeper here, right off the edge, and you know, it still gets pretty close to where it was before shooting to the middle of the pond. But that was one thing I had to move over here with the lower water, and that's exactly where we're standing here right now. So today we're actually going to do a little bit of a science project, if you will. This is kind of what I call it whenever I come down here and want to just walk around the pond and kind of relax a little bit. I grab my trusty old bluegill rod and my handy dandy tackle box, which is basically just a Fish USA order. You know, that's one cool thing about Fish USA. As you guys know, professional bass fisherman, but sponsored by Fish USA. But they don't have just bass fishing tackle. They have every sort of species tackle that you could need. And I had to order some bluegill stuff. You know, I thought I could catch bluegill, but I'm learning those little suckers are pretty tricky. So I got a little order of some bluegill stuff. You know, I got some little ice fishing jigs, some Northland ice fishing jigs, and some little flies and things like that. So had to place an order from Fish USA and get some bluegill equipment for the pond down here. But I finally figured out how to catch them. I can't take all the credit. You know, I got to give credit where it's due. Matt Steffen, and actually Hank Steffen is the one who put me onto this right here. The little Gulp Waxy. Awesome little bait. You just put him on one of those little jigs or little jig head, little hook, something like that. And actually been catching some bluegill on that. So I got to give credit to the Steffens for putting me on the juice for the bluegill. But it's been fun to catch a few of those. But that's what we're going to do here right now, is I'm going to try and catch a few fish. And I just come down here every so often to catch a few, obviously enjoy the pond, enjoy, you know, being out here and just kind of getting away from everything. But also just to kind of keep progress of how the fish are growing. You know, there's really no way of knowing without either shocking them, which I'm not going to do that in this little pond. So I'm just going to try and catch some fish and, you know, get a little gauge on how the fish are growing, the health of the fish, how they look, that sort of thing. And, you know, the only way you can do that is by catching a few of them. So let's see if we can't catch a few, and I'll show you guys what's been living in the pond and how things are going here. Well guys, I guess we picked a bad day to do some research, because it's pretty incredible how you can have so many bluegill in here and they will not bite if they don't want to bite. You know, I actually just turned the fish feeder on to throw out some food, see if we get that would get any activity, and literally nothing, no activity at all. So it's pretty crazy. Really, I've learned a lot about fish behavior and fishing in general. And you know, there is times where, I mean, literally feeding the bluegill what they eat every day, and they are not interested in it at all right now. So they are just in a negative mood. So we're not gonna be able to do any research here today. So we're gonna wrap this video up. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you enjoyed the pond project. I know I've really enjoyed this whole process of, you know, from when this was a field to now it's an actual pond, and I can actually come down here and catch some fish in the evenings or whenever I want to do that. So pretty cool process. And I feel like the next video, the next update we bring to the channel is going to be when the bass get introduced. So I didn't mention that earlier, but we only have bluegill and shad in here, or minnows. We have fathead minnows and golden shiners and bluegill in this pond. No bass yet, but I feel like the next video, the next pond update video, is going to be me releasing a bunch of bass in here that we get from the farm. And it's going to be really cool to watch them grow up and kind of learn their personalities and see if I can apply that to anything that I do, you know, on the tournament scene. It's going to be really fun and really excited about that. So stay tuned for the next pond update video. But like I said, appreciate you guys tuning in. Leave me all those likes and comments down below. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll see you guys next time.